Welcome to Saturday Shorties. Today, we're taking a look at toys of characters that were my childhood favorites, from pre-Power Rangers Super Sentai no less. So meet the Bioman team. This set was released in 2021 in Japan by Bandai with, parts. Yeah, it's quite obvious quite a few body parts were reused for all 5 figures, but not as much as you'd think. For one thing, they all have unique head sculpts. Those shapes on top aren't just painted, they're molded in. Also, the women have different upper chests and upper thighs. This set is awesome! They're great representations of the actual characters with very good detailing. Well, as much detailing as there was on the original outfits, since Sentai costumes tended to be a bit basic back in those days. I mean, the show is from 1984 after all. Still, the helmets are spot on. The circuitry on the chests too, and the belt buckles look great. Articulation is very good, not dissimilar to 80s G.I.Joe figures, but with hand and feet movement. I'm not gonna mess with them too much though, as the limbs can pop out of their sockets and I don't want to loosen them up too much. Especially since this set costs between $200 and $250. Yeah, no outlet store find this week, I'll tell you that much. And yes, that is steep, so are they worth it? Well, it depends on who you are. I grew up with the French dub of this show in the 80s, and for the first time these characters got figures in the GIJoe scale, something I'm all about, so for me it was a no-brainer. And this set came with a ton of accessories: swords, glowing swords, extra hands, bows to form a super weapon, gun holsters, and guns in both forms for everybody. That's impressive, but expected when there's such a price tag. Overall, I can't really be objective here. This show was such a part of my childhood, of course I'm gonna say this set rules. Normally this is where I'd point you to a wiki, and I can do that, but I do urge you to seek the Bioman Sentai out. I'll warn you, it ain't Power Rangers. Here's something from the first few minutes of episode 1. Yeah, there's no juice bar in this series. Oh, and spoilers, nobody's going to a peace conference either. You should also check out Erod's video on Bioman and Another Sentai. After all, I was the one who convinced him to take a look at it. Link in the description. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing. Hey, welcome to Saturday Shorties. You know how the core was Leonard trying to get their share of the G.I.Joe market by creating We Have G.I.Joe at Home? Well, I guess in 1994 they saw the way the wind was blowing and asked themselves what they could rip off next. Well, as it happens, just a year earlier, a plucky new TV show made its debut. And Leonard thought they had to get some of that sweet merchandising pie. So meet some of the Atomic Ranger Warriors. Totally original idea, do not steal. These figures were released in 1994 with no original body parts. Yeah, these are all reuses of the Space Force molds. It's not the first time either, as there was also Laser Force, a figure of which I mistook for another Power Rangers ripoff at first. Laser Force was unique in that it was,
shiny and chrome,
which I admit is pretty cool looking. And yes, these are all green. That's because I've only ever found the green ones at flea markets. It's weird, as there were plenty of other colors to be had. The main difference between these and the Space Force, apart from the colors, is that they don't have the word "the core" on them anywhere, because they were very much their own thing. Well, not really their own thing, they were Power Rangers ripoffs, but you know what I mean. This mold we've seen before, as he's a repaint of Electro. The others are new, well, to the show anyway, and I wanted to show them because they're more unique. You see, unlike most core figures, who are articulated just like G.I.Joe ones, these have the head be a fused part of the torso mold, originally to make them more like spacesuits, I guess. This does mean there's no head movement whatsoever. Detailing is on par with other core figures, though there are fewer colors, just green, silver, and black here. Still, like other Leonard figures, you could compare these to G.I.Joe, and they don't come off looking that bad. All in all, they're not bad figures. The quality is quite good, something that Leonard was known for, as opposed to other GIJoe knockoffs where the plastic was of very poor quality. Sorry, Hank, but it's true. The only thing that bothers me is the blatant audacity of it. Atomic Rangers! At least the core, though a GIJoe ripoff, had its own ideas and identities with unique characters and designs. Some very unique designs we'll be looking at next week. But these, well, they just look sad compared to actual Power Rangers. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing.
You idiots! These are not them! You've captured their stunt doubles!
Hey, welcome to Saturday Shorties. We're doing another G.I.Joe knockoff trilogy, and we're starting with some weird stuff that's also a Power Rangers knockoff. So meet Eddie and Rick, yes, those are their names. These figures were released around 1994 by New Ray Toys as part of the Mighty Rangers or Power Forces toy lines, depending on what packaging you got. They seem to have original body parts. What I mean is, I don't know if these parts were used before, but despite these two looking very similar, on closer inspection, they don't share any parts. Each figure is unique, which is quite a feat for a cheap knockoff line like this. They use the GIJoe body construction, but they are actually a little bit shorter than a GIJoe figure, making them quite comical when placed next to one. They're also quite buff, so it almost looks like what if Gimli from Lord of the Rings was a Power Ranger. I'm gonna have to write some fanfiction, aren't I? Detailing is quite good, more than I expected from a knockoff line actually. The uniforms have a lot of creases and the gloves and boots have some intricate sculpting too. The helmets are quite excellent, though those are easier to sculpt than human heads, so I do wonder how this toy line would have handled those. As far as the color schemes go, well, they obviously follow the ones from most Super Sentai or Power Ranger teams. In this case, the primary colors have white added to them, which is also common for the Rangers, and silver on the chest and helmets. The helmets do differ a little, well, the visors anyway, since they have different colors, while with the real thing they're usually just black. Speaking of colors, the yellow one here is called Eddie and isn't a woman. Now, this may seem odd to Power Ranger fans, since the Yellow Ranger is always female. Yeah, well, about that. In the original Sentai series, that wasn't always the case. In fact, the tradition of having the yellow one be a girl didn't start until the 8th series, Bioman. Before that, they were usually a guy. In fact, there was only one woman on the team back then, always the pink one of course. Just for reference, Power Rangers started by using the 16th series, Zeo Ranger, when the female yellow tradition was in full swing. Anyway, my point here is that New Ray Toys, the manufacturer of these knockoffs, was, and still is, they are still around, based in Hong Kong, where they'd have more knowledge of the older Sentai series, so having just one girl figure wouldn't be unusual to them. Sandy in this case. The myth that action figures of girls in a boys' toy line don't sell probably added to it too. As long as we're talking about the packaging, they were not subtle about this, were they? I mean, Mighty Rangers? There's just one word missing there. I mean, that is par for the course. Leonard weren't any less blatant with their Atomic Ranger warriors. All in all, maybe it's the fact that they're decent quality, maybe it's because them being a little shorter than Joe's makes them look cute, but I like these and I hope to run into more of them at flea markets or cons. Yeah, the Mighty but not Morphin Rangers are okay in my book. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing.